Hello and welcome to Everyday Tarot, your daily dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille A. Saunders, healer, tarot enthusiast, and professional witch, and today I'm talking about Pan. Whether you're a seasoned tarot reader or just starting to explore, this podcast offers daily insights, intuitive messages, and practical advice drawn from the cards. Each episode is designed to help you connect with your inner wisdom, find clarity in your decisions, and tap into the energy of the universe. Tune in every day, Monday through Friday, for fresh perspectives and empowering guidance from the tarot as interpreted by me. If you love the show, the best way to support it for free is by listening daily, leaving a review, and subscribing or following in your favorite podcast app. If you love the podcast and want to support it further, you can join the Everyday Tarot Patreon family. Benefits include getting an individual card pulled for you once a month live on the podcast, or if you'd like to support the podcast even further, you can get a one-time individual 5-card reading in addition to all the other benefits if you join the Witch Bitch level on the Patreon. I recently recorded an hour-long episode for the new moon in Libra that we welcomed in on September 22nd, 2025. If you missed the live, you can check out the new moon in Libra collective tarot reading replay that I did now to get all the latest info. I'll be speaking at the Queer Joy Summit 2025 next week, hosted by Colette Dalton this October. The summit is 1 week from October 13th through the 19th, completely free and online, and all about centering joy as survival, resistance, and connection. I will be presenting on Queering the Tarot alongside an incredible lineup of queer artists, healers, rebels, and dreamers. Together we'll laugh, maybe cry, and remind each other that joy is not optional. It's ours right here, right now. So the event is free to attend and you can sign up at the link in the show notes. I'd love for you to join me in the rest of this beautiful queer community. And I am also hosting a mystic hangout as part of the Queer Joy Summit on the 13th at 3 p.m. Pacific time. I'll be hosting it with Emily Holding, another witchy tarot person that is also presenting the Queer Joy Summit. And I will be doing a collective tarot reading, and then Emily is going to be doing individual readings. So if you want to check that out, come get a reading for yourself or hear about the one for the collective, I would love to have you there as well. So yeah, you'll get access to that when you sign up for the Queer Joy Summit. And yeah, join us on the 13th. I also recently was on Kayla Moore's Connected Pleasure podcast. You can check out the episode I did on Kayla's podcast where we talked all about living by the body, dreaming of land, and weaving the future. Kayla and I were actually introduced by a colleague because we're both sex therapists and also witchy, and I actually got to attend a sacred singing circle that they held as someone who grew up singing in choir. It was so fun to get to be in a space with her and her colleague where I didn't have to prepare, and I just got to sing and connect in that way, feeling so empowered and connected and like in this ritual in her space in Gig Harbor, which was so fun. So Kayla is actually in the middle of a launch for their one-on-one coaching container right now. I am an affiliate for them, and I think they're amazing and do incredible work in the realm of the divine feminine. So Kayla's books are open for their launch period, which is just October 6th through the 12th, so happening right now. Kayla's one-on-one coaching program is an 8-week private journey for women who feel disconnected from their sexual desire and are ready to reclaim it on their own terms. Together, you'll unravel the knots of shame, pressure, and conditioning that have silenced desire and begin reweaving connection to the body, erotic energy, and pleasure. This is an intimate, personalized work where women learn practices to awaken desire, create safety in their bodies, and integrate pleasure into daily life. By the end of the journey, they feel more connected to themselves, more confident in their erotic voice, and free to experience desire as a natural, sacred part of who they are. So I have the link to Kayla's offer page in the show notes at connectedpleasurecoaching.com and highly recommend working with them if this is something that you feel called to. If you want to work with me more directly and you don't live local to me, I am offering a Tarot for Transformation live course. I'm actually pivoting it to doing it starting in 2026. And we're going to be deep diving one major arcana card every month, probably for like the next 2.5 years. or I guess 2 years if I go through all the cards, one per month, as we embody archetypes, learn about how to transform ourselves through the tarot. So what I'm imagining and dreaming of here is, deep diving into one major arcana card a month. We will kick off with the Fool in January of 2026. You'll be able to join like one-off events, so pay a fee to just go to that one if there's a particular card that you're feeling called to learning about, or you can also choose to sign up for the whole year and to get all of those. We'll do live calls and then I will also record them, so if you're unable to attend live, you'll be able to still watch those as well. I'm going to create workbooks for each card, and we're going to talk about how do you embody an archetype, how do you bring this into your daily life, how do we apply the expertise and knowledge and understanding we have about tarot cards into our own lives, and practicing embodying archetypes and doing like a different one every month. I think it's going to be so fun. We can employ some like glamour magic. I will probably dress up as sort of like cosplay of the tarot cards for the calls, which I'm so excited about. But yeah, if this sounds fun to you, you want to like learn more and deep dive into the cards, you can check out the full details in the show notes. I'll have a link to sign up where you can get more info, and I'll start going to be rolling out like more information about what this is going to look like and what you can expect and everything that you're going to get if you sign up for those. So I'm so excited about doing that. And if you don't already know, I am a sex and relationships therapist and coach, seeing individual and relational clients virtually all over from my home office. I love working with queer, poly, and witchy clients. So if you'd like to work with someone that doesn't judge you, is witchy just like you, and helps you learn how to deal with anxiety, chronic pain or illness, communication issues, self-advocacy, and sex, head to my website and book a free consultation now to start your journey. If you're interested in crafting your own tarot cards, maybe you feel like, oh, I'm not super creative, that's okay. You can get my full workshop with the hour-long recording where I lay out my step-by-step method, examples of the cards I've created. We have journaling questions to kind of pull some ideas out of you as you start to think about creating them, and a PDF to walk you all through it for just $33. If you're like, Camille, I am not artistic, I can't draw, like, I don't know how to do this, that's okay. My methodology is all about collaging. So, and that's what I really like to do. So really all you need is like collage materials, glue stick, scissors, and index cards, which at least are my preferred background or sort of size for working on the tarot cards. So like literally all these things are things you can get at the dollar store, which I have done, especially for my workshops where I hold them live. If you're local to me, you can always come to those as well. For our virtual crafting, or for tarot card crafting. I've also held it virtually, so that's an option as well. But yeah, if you want, you're like, Camille, I'm not local to you, I want to learn how to do this, I want to think more about the tarot cards, and perhaps I'm curious about making my own deck in this way. I have this whole, bundle package to walk you through everything. I show you a lot of the cards I've made and the imagery and kind of how I did it. I usually just cut things out of magazines, or I have some old like books that were falling apart that we've used in these tarot card crafting circles, and it's something I really love to do in like a fun way to connect with the tarot in a different way. So yeah, you can find the link in the show notes to purchase that whole bundle for crafting that now. And I think that would be a super fun thing to, get for yourself as we move into the darker, cooler, dreary months of fall and winter, at least where I am in the Northern Hemisphere. It's a great indoor activity and pretty much endless. Like you can, once you have your kind of materials, just kind of start hoarding away your materials of interest for your collaging. I've used like seed catalogs, I've used advertisements that come in the mail, like I've used anything like old calendars where they have beautiful imagery, but you're like, well, I'm done with the calendar for the year. Anything like that, you can be super scrappy about this and not have to really buy a lot of anything. And it's so fun. So highly recommend that as well. If you're interested in my free PDF with the 2025 5-card tarot spread I created just for you, my lovely listeners, at the beginning of this year, you can get that by joining my newsletter list. My weekly newsletter always has the most up-to-date info on my upcoming events, presentations, musings, and info and photos of my day-to-day life. So if you, like me, are interested in owning land and having a farm and gardening, you'll get to see a bit more of that in my newsletter that I like to share. If you're local and want to meet me in person, you can come to my Let's Talk Tarot meetup group where we chat. Usually, so I do like both social events and then also the tarot card crafting. So, you can choose to go whichever ones you want or both. You can chat with other tarot enthusiasts, bring your favorite decks, play with tarot and oracle decks together. Usually we just kind of like meet at a restaurant for a couple hours, chat, pull cards for each other, talk about tarot, talk about how we got into it, and it's super fun. And then, like I said, the other ones I hold are tarot card crafting. So if you're local to me and want to do tarot card crafting, I bring all the materials and you just have to meet me there. So that's super fun. And usually we've been meeting at the library. So it's easy. They have really big tables and I bring all the supplies. So I love that. And then if you're interested in celebrating the full moon, I'm holding full moon women's circles for the rest of 2025. You can join my colleague Izzy and I under the glow of the full moon for an evening of connection, reflection, and ritual. We'll be meeting at Thresholds Collective in Tacoma the first Sunday of the month to welcome in the full moon together. So the upcoming dates are, we just held one on October 5th for the full moon in Aries that just happened on October 6th. And then our next ones are November 2nd and December 7th. And the tickets are already up for those. If you want to make sure to get those on your calendar for the rest of the year, we would love to see you there. It's so much fun. I love getting to be with other kind of like witchy folks on the full moon to connect and reflect and have a bit of a ritual together. So it's very fun there. I'm actually going to one tonight. As you will hear this, it has already happened. But for me, it's still October 5th. So I'll be going to our full moon circle tonight. All right, and that's it for the announcements. I know we're getting long, but there's a lot of stuff going on right now. So you can find the links for any of these offers in the show notes or on my website, CamilleASaunders.com/everydaytarot, in addition to the images of the cards I pull on each episode. All right, so let's get into it. Welcome to season 16. We're talking all about queer deities. If you haven't listened to my other seasons yet, you can check those out. I've talked tarot and pop culture, went through 13 common tarot spreads. I've done tarot and plant allies or tarot and animals, frequently asked questions, and I recently wrapped up a season about tarot and crystals, which was very fun. So like I said, now we're into season 16 where I'm talking all about queer deities. And today we're talking about Pan. So I'll get into the mythology, we'll talk queerness, and then we'll get into tarot affiliation and pull a card at the end to see what message Pan has for us today. So I will be referring to the Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets by Barbara G. Walker to talk about Pan here. All right, so Pan is the king of Arcadian satyrs, the horned and hoofed woodland god par excellence. Pan was one of the oldest gods in Greece, associated with the cult of Dionysus. So Dionysus, who we talked about first episode, right? Pan's associated with that, sometimes identified with him, meaning like that they may have been the same. Pan was said to have coupled with all of the Dionysian monads, so sort of Dionysus's followers. In addition, he was mated to Athena, Penelope, Selene, and many archaic forms of great goddess. Pan's name has been derived from pain, so Paein, which meant pasture. It was also the word for all and for bread, recalling various all-fathers who were gods of divine bread, such as Osiris, Adonis, and Tammuz. Like them, Pan was also a sacred king who died in fertilizing the earth. The ritual phrase, "Great Pan is dead," seems to have been taken from the rites of Tammuz. It was also understood as Themis Pan Megas Thanese, which meant all great Tammuz is dead. So the Greeks claimed the Egyptian solar god Amun-Ra was the same as Pan. They called Amun-Ra's holy city Panopolis, the city of Pan, saying it was inhabited by Pans and satyrs. The panoply, the ceremonial dress and decoration, derives from holy processions in the city of Pan. Other words connected with Pan's cult are caper, caprus, and capriccio, all from the Latin caper, which means the goat. Pan's sacred drama of death and resurrection was the original tragedy from Greek tragedos, goat song. The word panic was originally the terrible cry of Pan, who dispersed his enemies with a magic yell that filled them with fear and took away all their strength. It may be that Pan's legend began with the Hindu fertility god Panchika, consort of one of the primal mother goddesses, many-breasted Hariti, who suckled hundreds of pre-Vedic animal spirits, as many-breasted Diana suckled the woodland beasts whose king Pan was. Pan was an important model for the medieval pagans, the horned god whom the church called Satan. The devil always displayed Pan's attributes of hoofs, horns, and unremitting lust, sometimes also a goat head, an attendant throng of satyrs or demons. Yet the new romanticism of the 19th century laid aside the demonic nature attributed to Pan only a few centuries previously and made him a gentle image of the lost Arcadia populated by shepherds and nymphs. Romantic poets adopted Pan as their wildwood god. In 1821, Shelley wrote to his friend Thomas J. Hogg saying, "I am glad to hear that you do not neglect the rites of the true religion. Your letter awoke my sleeping devotion, and the same evening I ascended alone the high mountain behind my house and suspended a garland and raised a small turf altar to the mountain walking Pan." Oscar Wilde wrote wistfully, "O goat-foot god of Arcady, this modern world hath need of thee." Byron wrote a regretful ode on the passing of Pan. "The gods of old are silent on their shore, since the great Pan expired, and through the roar of the Ionian waters broke a dread voice which proclaimed the mighty Pan is dead. How much died with him, false or true? The dream was beautiful which peopled every stream, with more than finey tenants, and adorned the woods and waters with coy nymphs that scorned pursuing deities, or in the embrace of gods brought forth the high heroic race, whose names are on the hills and o'er the seas." So that is all about Pan. Pulled from the book Woman's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets by Barbara Walker. When we get into, so I'm going to be referencing pride.com, talking about queer gods. So Pan, right, in mythological texts and artworks connected Dionysus to the satyr Pan, god of music, right, often depicted with like the wood flute. Pan frequently was depicted in sculpture, chasing both men and women around with his always erect penis and oversized scrotum. Half man, half goat, bisexual, size queen. So says pride.com. What else? When I was looking up other things about Pan, I mean, yeah, it is interesting that Pan is sort of like been transformed over time, that Pan was sort of like on the same level of Dionysus, or perhaps the same as Dionysus, that later Pan became really affiliated with the devil, or the devil became affiliated with Pan. The Christianity sort of depicts the devil very similarly to Pan, with the goat horns, right? Even the goat itself is seen as devilish, which in the homesteader world they talk about is because goats are independent and they follow no man, unlike sheep, which will flock together and sort of like do things together. Goats are very independent and stubborn and like to get out of their enclosures. They're very smart also. So traits that were not necessarily held in high regard by the Christian gods. What else do we think about Pan? Yeah, Pan has this sort of affiliation with the sort of like orgy aspect, or again, like the bisexuality of like not, or maybe perhaps being more like pansexual, of same, right? Like of not necessarily being into everyone and being willing to kind of like have sex with everyone as a god, and not being sort of like discriminatory about like who is preferred. What else? I think like satyrs in the same way as centaurs. So centaurs are often depicted, right, as more like half horse, half man, whereas satyrs are goat. And usually though, like, it's interesting that like, okay, horses and goats both have 4 legs, but as satyrs, you get more of the like, it's more humanoid. You get the like bipedal, like they only have 2 hooves and then they stand up more like a human. And then with like centaurs, you get more of like the horse aspect, and then they have like the head of a human, which I think is interesting. But where was I going with this? But yeah, that Pan, I mean, also just this idea of like sexual appetites or being sort of like animalistic is associated again as like a negative thing. So something that is like half animal, half man is going to have these traits that we as humans sometimes attribute to animals, even though we are also animals, and saying like, oh, they have this like sexual appetite, or oh, they don't care, they don't have like shame, in the way that is instilled in humans from a very young age. There's also sort of the like interesting musical aspect, or like the nymph aspect, which is a bit more of the idea of like they're hanging around, they're like seen, and they're like very associated with being in the woods, and yeah, almost like in a similar way as like fairies, although fairies are, I think, a bit more like hidden in lore, whereas satyrs are more like, and same, yeah, are like hanging around in the woods and kind of like creeping on people, or sort of like luring them in this way with like perhaps the music, which is also just interesting and associated with this sort of like shepherding part of them, of like having a bunch of like things follow them, which again like is a lot like shepherding if you were going to move sheep around. All right, yeah, so let's get into tarot card affiliation. Oh, actually, before I do that, so yeah, so like the majority of statues of Pan like depict him with like an erect penis, frolicking with lovers of all genders. In many versions of the myth, Pan is the son of Hermes, the winged messenger of the gods, who is said to also have had many male lovers. One of them, who was Crocus, whose unfortunate fate led him to accidentally being killed by a discus and then turned into a flower, like the crocus flower, that you may know of today. So there are yeah, so even like Pan's potential like family or like father, Hermes, is also associated with like male lovers, or in this, I think Pan gets associated more with like bisexuality, or like I said, perhaps now like pansexuality, and this sort of like musical being in the woods, courting whoever kind of comes along. There's like a lot of like a playfulness to Pan. I feel like that yeah, kind of has I think is very threatening to Christianity, especially with like the depictions of Pan as being so like sexualized. All right, so let's get into tarot affiliation. So I think kind of the obvious one would be the devil, partially because just the depiction of the devil is often using those horns like a goat, or like Baphomet like looks like a goat as well, but again in the same way of kind of like the more humanoid bipedal form, and then like the head of a goat or the horns. So I think that one's like sort of an obvious one, and also just that like because of the sexual nature, again like Christianity would solidly put Pan into the like devilish place because of that, because of this sort of unabashed sexual nature of Pan. The other one that I thought was interesting, I did a little bit of like searching what other people thought, was the Fool. So I will link to a Tumblr post about deities and their tarot cards, where they sorted kind of like every deity into every, or they like have every card and then like put deities that are affiliated with them underneath. So, and the ones, yeah, so the devil I saw like across the board, and I think that makes a lot of sense because of how the devil gets depicted, even not just Pan, but also the Fool sort of being this like, because of the playful nature of Pan, that there's like a, I don't know, like a non-seriousness or like an ability to have levity, which again, I think like literally, like if you think of levity as like bringing lightness or like levitating, right? The Fool could use some levity as they step off the cliff into the abyss, as they begin the journey. So I do feel like that's a good association as well, that Pan has this like, not naivety or like naivete, but like a childlike wonder, I would say that the Fool also kind of embodies, as being like totally okay with who they are and what their journey might take them on or down, or where they might go. Just being like, yeah, let's see what happens. All right, so let's go ahead and pull a card to see what message Pan has for us. Let's see which deck. I'm going to keep pulling from my Norse Rune Goddess deck here. All right. So, what message does Pan have for us today? What do we need to hear? What can Pan's spirit and embodiedness teach us? What messages do we need to have today? What do we need to hear? And again, this is from the Norse Goddess Rune Oracle by Rebecca Joy Stark and artwork by Shannon McLeod. All right, well, a card fell out. Okay, I pulled Aiwass. I pull this one a lot right now. So Aiwass is the companion. Gina is the goddess of partnership, momentum, and transportation. So it says, I am Gna, goddess on a quest. Hopfnir is my horse, a friend he is best. Over sea and sky, together we ride true. May Aiwass bring partnership in life's journey to you. So Gna is the goddess and handmaiden to the mighty goddess Frigg. She runs errands and delivers messages upon her horse, and her true companion is with respect and love for her steed, enabling her to be transported over the waters and through the air to realms beyond. Gna and Hopfnir have a balanced and harmonious relationship, allowing for clear messages and communication to occur between the Aesir and those who dwell in other realms. It's interesting, it's reminding me of Hermes as well. So Hermes as potentially the father of Pan, right? A messenger god. Hopfnir is the magical steed that carries his companion safely over land, sea, and sky. He is Gna's animal guide, protecting her and delivering her safely to the realms where her messages await deliverance. He is her transportation, her method of movement, yet he loves her deeply and ensures her safety as she journeys. In the Golfinginin, Gna is listed as the 13th Ascendure. She is the goddess that Frigg trusts most with her messages, sending her on errands to the realms that are situated around Yggdrasil, the giant world tree. Gna is trustworthy and reliable, working in partnership with her horse to ensure the tasks are completed on behalf of Frigg. She cares deeply for her horse, taking time to tend to his needs and placing her full trust in his ability to carry her safely as they move towards their destination. They journey as one, traveling their life paths together in honesty, integrity, and trust. So, for the divination meaning, Aiwass is the rune of partnerships. Meaning horse, it is symbolic of forward forward movement, transportation, and companionship. For those living in medieval Scandinavia, horses were effective and necessary form of transportation. They aided in swift journeys between towns, provided security and an advantage in battle, yet also became close companions for their riders. Ehwaz acknowledges this companionship, whether in the form of intimate partnership, friendship, family relationship, or spirit guide. It is the harmony and balance between two people, the love and equality found in truly compatible interactions. It is the combination of energies that enables you to move forwards, the one who accompanies you on life's journey, whether in the physical or spiritual realms. It may represent a spirit animal or Fligna that is a part of you, walking ahead of you in life and acting as a guide and spirit protector. It may represent a companion animal that brings you comfort and joy in life. As the horse, Ehwaz can also refer to your method of transportation. It may relate to your car or other form of transport, a reminder to ensure that you pay due diligence to the well-being and operative functions of your vehicle. Ehwaz signifies forward movement, the momentum to keep you traveling along your path. There is positive energy that walks alongside you, at times leading you from the front when you are feeling lost or following you in support as you strive towards your goals. Acknowledge this energy, give gratitude, and ensure that harmony persists. Remember that sometimes you are the horse and sometimes you are the rider. Both parties need to work in harmony, integrity, and trust to maintain the relationship. I think this is so interesting too because, right, like we have a horse depicted here, as I was talking about, with Pan, who doesn't necessarily look like a horse, but is very much has a lot of the same characteristics as centaurs, and of sort of this like sexual nature or like sexual acts that sometimes are like can be horrific and also can be like, yeah, in this more like orgy sense, right, like companionship. I think also like there's like balance, right, like this card talks a lot about, right, that like actually having your horse as transportation is a reciprocal relationship. And I think that's not always how all of us treat our cars, our other forms of transportation. Sometimes we just treat them like a thing that like needs to get us places, like just do what we need to do, instead of like, oh, I need to give it things and have gratitude for it and make sure that I'm taking good care of it because this is a reciprocal relationship. It just feels different, I think, because it's not alive. Although I do think some people do treat their cars like this. Yeah, and also this idea that like sometimes you are the horse and sometimes you are the rider. Like sometimes, right, we're the ones that need to be led along, and other times we are the ones leading, and that we have to figure out how to work in harmony, and also like how that helps us move forward in life, right? Like this card is literally about journeys, about moving from town to town, or like being ahead of the game when you're in battle, or like being in companionship or partnership that helps us propel ourselves further in life, often when we do things with other people. And I think this can also sort of relate to like community. It doesn't necessarily have to just be like one other person, right? It can be in friendship, it can be in family relationships, it can be with the spirit. And it is this sort of like reciprocal process, that we can't just take from other people or just give to others, right? We need it to feel reciprocal in order for the relationship to really be to be a partnership, right? That being about what partnership really means. All right. Well, thank you for that message, Pan. If you'd like to join me on the journey of using the tarot for transformation, you can click on the link in the show notes to indicate your interest, and I'll give you more information. Links for the tarot decks will always be in the show notes and on my website if you'd like to look at them or purchase them. And thanks for joining me today on Everyday Tarot. Just as a reminder, the podcast comes out daily, Monday through Friday, for all of 2025. You can email me, me@CamilleASaunders.com, with your thoughts, questions, and more. All right. See you soon. Bye-bye.